Hey everybody, Courtney Smith here with our part two of our theory of global freedom lifestyle. So our first one took a look at global freedom lifestyle from one perspective. Now we're going to drive it a little bit closer to practicality in this particular video. So relax, take some notes. You're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil in order to take some notes here. But what we're going to do is go from high theory. We're now going to still talk about theory, but the next videos after this are all practicalities where we attack and I teach you how to do each of the various steps in the process that I'm going to lay out for you today. So this is an important video. I hope you enjoy it. So let's dive right in, shall we? All right. So whenever we live a global freedom lifestyle, there are a series of key considerations that we have to take into account. And remember that you have to take it into account for yourself. Maybe you have a spouse. Maybe you have kids. So each one of those three different conditions will lead to different conclusions. And of course, we all have our own unique desires and needs and value systems. So I'm going to lay out the considerations, but you're the only one who can answer the real questions. So what are the key considerations that we need to be considering? Well, the first one is we have to be able to make money. We'll talk about all of these in just a second, okay? We need to know how we're going to make a living. Are we retired? Maybe we have some type of social security, but maybe we need to make a living, or maybe we want to augment our social security with additional income. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Housing, where are we going to live? I live in hotels, but my hotel room is a one-bedroom apartment right now, which I'm paying $62 a night for. I'll teach you how to do deals like that. Incredible deals. We need to talk about health care. If you're young, not so important. If you're old, maybe the most important consideration. Education. You as an adult may want to educate yourself, get a degree at a university, or just learn things like Thai massage while you're living in Bangkok. But also, if you have children, you have to think about the education of those children. A big consideration. And finally, recreation. How do you have fun? So we're going to talk about how to do that as well. All right. These are the 5 main things that we need to consider if we're going to live a global freedom lifestyle. Let's dive one more level deeper into each one of them. And then remember, after this video, we're going to be talking only practicalities and tactics. We're still on the strategic level. So let's talk about making money. How do you make money and have global freedom? Well, this is usually the one that frankly stops a lot of people right here. They're kind of stuck because they have a job, and giving up the job is a big psychological step, maybe a big financial step, but let's dive right into it. So there's a lot of ways that you can make money, more than you could possibly imagine, and I've done them all, I think. No, not all of them. There's some I still haven't done, but let's just take a look at it. You might have retirement money. You may have Social Security money. And that money might be enough for you to live overseas because many places are very, very cheap to live. Southeast Asia, Latin America, Africa. These are all places that have very, very cheap living. India is hard to get into, but yes, South Asia is also very cheap. So you can probably live overseas on just your Social Security. I was on a plane once and I ran into a guy, and he was retired, and he lived half the year in the Philippines and half the year in California. Not bad, not bad. So retirement is one form of money. Social Security, pension plans, etc. I'm a professional trader, so I have to put on the list trading is a way that you can make money as well. We'll talk about that in more detail, but trading is, I take the money I have and my pot of money, and I use my money to make money, okay? So that's a great way to do it as well. Online business, oh my God, you're here on YouTube, there's 400 million videos on how to make money online. Most of them bogus. I'll show you some ways that work. or I'll tell you the truth about making online income. Okay, consulting is one that very few people think about. You have a skill. You go to another country. Those people probably don't have the skill you have. So simply by sending emails or letters or phone calls, you can pick up consulting gigs almost in any country in the world. I'm an American, and when I come to other countries, they always are very hungry to listen to the American expert and pay me money. Heck of a concept. So you can start to build a series of clients. If you go to one place, let's say you move just to Thailand, you'll have Thai clients, or if you're a more mobile person, you may have clients around the world. Another one is writing. Once again, on the internet, there's a million articles about how to write and how to make money. I'll tell you the truth in a future video. Housing is another big one. Once again, there's several major strategies here. So I basically live in hotels because I like to go from country to country. I like to move with the seasons. I don't really want to be in a really cold climate. You know, I don't want to go to Sweden in the winter, and I don't want to go to Dubai in the Wait a minute, I'm in Dubai in the summer. Well, okay, so I screwed it up this year, but that's because of COVID. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in a place like Dubai. I looked at the temperature today. It said 108, and I said, well, that's not bad. That's about the same as Las Vegas. And then it said next to it, feels like 136 because of the humidity is so high here. All right, so I foolishly made a mistake this time. But the point is, my normal habit is to move with the seasons, move to beautiful locations for a month or two or whatever. So I like living in hotels. But a lot of people, they want an intermediate. So for example, there's in many cities, not all, there are what are called apartment hotels, which cost usually a little bit more than a hotel because you're getting a whole apartment. But on the other hand, you don't get daily maid service. So there's a trade-off, but cheaper than an apartment. You can rent by the week or by the month. You don't have to sign a one-year lease or anything like that. You can sublet. A lot. You go, look on Craigslist. There's other places I'll show you later where you can sublet a place for a month or 2 months, usually quite cheaply. House sit. You might be able to find a place for free. There are actually websites on the internet which are all designed for house sitters, where you take care of somebody's house while they go away for a month. Now, sometimes it's not in the best season, so it might be Dubai in the summer and Sweden in the winter, but still, free is a pretty good price. Healthcare, usually not so much of a problem for young people, but when you're seasoned, and I keep telling people I may be older, but I'm still immature. But the point is that when you get older, healthcare becomes a more important issue, and at certain times in your life, if you're a pregnant woman, healthcare becomes important as well, and even young people can have health problems. So, but you know what I'm saying. Generally, the older you are, the more important it is. So you've got to take care of your healthcare. You've got to be able to be in a place where the healthcare is high quality. Now, you know, there's some countries where the healthcare is totally abysmal, and if you're an old person, you probably don't want to be there. If you're a young person, probably not a problem. But there are key countries, and I'll tell you exactly which ones they are in a future video, which is going to tell you what kind of countries you can go to and what kind of healthcare you can expect. Now, you don't have to be in the good country, but you have to be able to get there quick. Do you see what I'm saying? So you may be in a weird country. You may be in Myanmar, but you can get to Singapore in 2-hour flight. Well, that might be okay then. You see what I'm saying? So you can be close to a good country. You don't have to be in a good country, but it depends on your situation. The other thing is you also have to consider there's some people, if I'm English, I have the NHS. If I'm American, I might have Medicare. But Medicare, for example, doesn't pay for your health expenses when you're not in the United States. I don't know NHS because I'm not British, but I'll bet it doesn't pay for something. If I was British and had a problem here in Dubai, they probably aren't going to pay for it either. So you have to also think about that. Education, very important if you have children. less important for adult education because, of course, adults can go experience life. So some countries have some excellent education in them. Other countries have no education for anybody, so it's really a problem. So you also have to select your country well if you're going to be worried about your kids' education. But remember, you've got homeschooling these days. Because of COVID, many more parents are doing homeschooling, and so therefore being in a foreign country is very educational than homeschooling. Once again, the choice is up to you, but it is a possibility. We'll talk more about that in detail. So don't forget that living in a foreign country is an educational experience. Your kids will learn a new language, new cultures, etc., etc. And then, of course, adults can learn in any country because there's always something fascinating and new going on. The final consideration is recreation, but this is the easiest one of all, believe it or not. And the reason is because, you're either an indoor person or an outdoor person. So if you're going to go hike mountains, then being here in Dubai is probably a bad choice because there are no mountains here. It's all flat sand. On the other hand, maybe you're an indoor person. Well, then maybe Dubai is a better place for you. You can go to the Dubai Museum. But let's take, for example, London. Unbelievable museums. Every street corner has a new museum on it. So it's fantastic. But it rains all the time. Now, the British don't seem to understand that rain is bad and it makes you wet. They don't seem to understand that. So they go outdoors anyway. But sensible people know that England has crappy weather for doing outside things because it rains all the time, even in August. It's crazy. What can I say? But you see what I'm saying. If you're a mountain climber, you want to be in Switzerland in the summer, right? If you're a surfboarder, you want to be in Australia, you want to be in Hawaii, etc., etc. So in a way, recreation kind of answers itself, because if you're into a particular thing, you're going to know where you want to go, where the best place in the world is for that thing, or where the best places are for that thing. So let's kind of come to a conclusion here. So first of all, very few places are going to fit all your criteria. Where you live right now doesn't fit all your criteria. Remember our first video in this series. So you're going to likely want to move around a little bit. Maybe not as much as me, but maybe 2, 3, 4 times. Like I say, move with the seasons, spend 3 months in a place, then move to another place. And so it may be that your recreation is satisfied for 3 or 6 months of the year, but not all the year. It might be that your education, you can put your kids in a good school for 6 months of the year, or maybe 9, but you move someplace else for 3. So you see what I'm saying? You might have to be flexible here, and everything is a trade-off. And I'm going to give you a solution to that in a second here. So here's what I think you should do. Take the criteria that we just outlined. Those are the major criteria that people have. There are other criteria too. You may have religious things that you want to do, social things that you want to do, but put those on the list if they're important as well. But now start to rank them. Okay, well, I need to have my health care. I'm older. My health care is very important, so I'm going to rank that a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Recreation, I'm a reader, so I can sit here in my hotel and read, so that's not very important. I'm going to rank that a 1. You see what I'm saying? Go through the process and figure out what is important to you. What are the criteria that are most important to you? Because that's going to largely define where you live in the world, either part-time or full-time. Okay, I think that's the end of my presentation here. Indeed it is. So what we're going to do now is we sketched this out, the 6 flag theory. Now we talked about the various factors that inform your decision of where to go. Now recognize that it's all in your hands now. What you need to do is you need to start to narrow down the choices. There's, 150 countries in the world. Some of them you can't go to, but that list is not that large. There's probably 130 countries you can go to in a practical matter. So what you now need to do is to start prioritizing, make this list that I just suggested, and that'll start narrowing your choices down. Now, what's going to happen next in this series is I'm going to start to go through each one of these sections that I talked about and talk about which countries fit these criteria. All right? So this will take quite some time. Relax, but I'll probably do it in the order that I did here. We'll probably start by making money. And once again, I go from the general to the specific. So I'll probably go through those areas that I talked about, the potential ways. I'll talk about the pluses and minuses of each one of them, and then we'll take each line and dive into detail on how to do it. So just think of this as a process of learning. But we'll go through every one of the criteria that we talked about and how to do it in our Global Freedom Lifestyle playlist here on our YouTube channel. All right, everybody, talk to you later.